LT, and I'm an alcoholic addict.
What up, sober family? Welcome to Recovering Addict. I'm your host, LT, and I'll be hanging out with you tonight.
Co-host Felice Weaver. Glad to be here.
What's up? We got Murd and Cody and Simon and Chad. As you can see, we already got our guest hanging out and chilling. We've been talking for about 2 minutes, just chilling, letting you just get to know each other, kind of just chilling. So I'll put your guys' what we'll do is like what we usually do. We'll just read through our AA thought of the day, meditation, and prayer, and then we'll start to get to know who the Mungavins are as everybody's signing on. And then we're live right now on Facebook and on YouTube. So as the comments pop up, I don't know what you guys can see on your end, but if there's anything towards you.
So
okay.
I'm trying to find the video to share it out to our pages right now. Oh, I got you. Here we are.
Cool.
Towards you. Oh.
Okay. What's up, Simon? How you doing? How you feeling, brother? Catherine, nice to see you.
Bang, bang.
Jeffrey, what's up? Good to see you, man. Alicia, nice to see you too. Mark, Raina. Oh, hey, Raina, how you doing tonight?
It's my Raina.
Hey, y'all, on our private Facebook group, if you didn't notice, I did take a picture of the inventory sheet that we've been going through lately. So I'm going to pop that up right now. And on the count of 3, I want you all to screenshot it, okay? So here it is. So 1, 2, 3, bam, take that screenshot. So that is the inventory sheet that we're going to be going over, the 17 character defects, and see where the heck we are at. Today, mine's going to score high. I got freaking, what did I have? Destructive anger. I was cussing like a damn sailor because every dang restaurant we went to was put a mask on. I'm like, just give me some damn. I was hangry anyway. And so the character defect, I had to mark severe today. I didn't punch the steering wheel like I usually would have, but I was still just as mad.
Yeah, Millie told me said we need to get him a stress ball.
Yeah, I need a stress ball. All right, so here's your AA thought of the day. AA teaches us to take it easy. We learn how to relax and to stop worrying about the past or the future, to give up our resentments and our hates and tempers, to stop being critical of people and to try to help them instead. That's what easy does it means. So in the time that is left for me to live, I'm going to try to take it easy, to relax and to not worry, to try to be helpful to others and to trust God. So here's the question. For what's left of my life, is my motto going to be easy does it? And here's our meditation. I must overcome myself before I can truly forgive other people for injuries done to me. The self in me cannot forgive injuries. The very thought of the wrongs means that myself is in the foreground. Since the self cannot forgive, I must overcome my selfishness. I must cease to trying to forgive those who have upset and wronged me. It is a mistake for me to even think about these injuries. I must aim at overcoming myself in my daily life, and then I will find that there is nothing in me that remembers injury, because the only thing injured, my selfishness, is gone. And here's our prayer today. I pray that I may hold no resentments. I pray that my mind may be washed clean of all past hate and fears. Sweet.
Is that NA or AA?
That
workbook.
Which one?
The workbook.
Workbook is based off of AA. Oh, this one?
Yeah.
No, this is from my IOP. So I went to a intense outpatient program for 5 months, and this is what they required. This is the inventory sheet they required us to do every single night about our character defects. And then they check on us like, hey, where's your inventory? Where's your inventory sheet? Let me look at it. Bust that thing out. Oh, you haven't been taking your inventory? What are you relapsing? You're about to relapse. So to let you, the Mungavins know, I was a tweaker back in the early 2000s. Got into a bunch of trouble doing meth. I was that guy that's going to help you. I was going to steal from you and help you look for it. You know, I committed a 2nd-degree felony, ended up in jail for a year, probation, all that good stuff, right? Got clean after that. In my early 30s, I started drinking just occasionally because I didn't realize I was an addict or alcoholic or, none of that stuff. I knew I had a drug problem once in my life. But later in life, 33, I started drinking. And by the time I hit 40, I was drinking a 5th of whiskey every freaking night, destroying our family. She's not an addict, but she had to live with me. So she became that codependent, co-addict kind of just shitty situation. And So I checked myself into a detox center 3-4 nights. I was there detoxing, and then I had to go through a 5-month IOP, which I'm still in the aftercare portion of that. So that's my little background. But everybody, and we got a whole bunch of people watching now. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and take over, introduce yourself, and just do what you do.
Perfect.
All right, guys. Thank you for having us on. We really appreciate it. And one second. My name's Joe, and this is my wife Tina. We've been doing this for a while. We run I'm just finishing up. I got a lot of watch parties. So, guys, if you're in a watch party, we're not going to be able to see your comment unless you come over to the actual video. A lot of watch parties. We're on Meet Them on Gavin's Recovery Talk. That's our page we can live from. And then Spiritual Animals of Recovery is our group that do, Zoom meetings and everything else like that. So we're just so grateful to be on here with you guys. Any opportunity we can get to, stick together, we need to unify and stick together in this recovery, community or whatever you want to call it. But the whole goal, I think, for all of us is to reach out and help that next person, and I think that's why we come on here, with such passion. And I think it's so beautiful that, you and your wife are together. And like you said, she's not an addict, but I can guarantee she's, been down the ringer, living with an addict and just, it's amazing how we can grow together. Like, this thing gives us the ability, to live 2 lives in one, or maybe 3, 4, 5 lives in one. It's because, I can't describe it unless you've been involved in it. Then you wouldn't understand, like what it's like to live with an addict or be an addict, and, I don't know. I'm just truly grateful, man. And Tina can, I just to introduce myself, I lived in the streets of Philadelphia. My addiction took me to the streets of Kensington Ave in Philadelphia. And if anyone's familiar with that, it's a very open air drug market scene. And I ended up in abandoned houses, hiding under a bridge with a knife and a screwdriver in the bando, pushing the trash over, sleeping on a bench with my coat. And my drug of choice was, heroin, coke, or more. Actually, my drug of choice was more. Whatever you had, I wanted more. And right now we live in Delaware. We kind of, I had 7 years clean and, slipped up and lost everything once again, and I kind of get into that in a little bit. I don't know where you want to go with the video. I don't know if you want to tell a little bit of our story or, but
Yeah.
Man, I've been in and out of the rooms, in and out of jails, in and out of institutions. And God has lifted me. This program has lifted me. These 12 steps, guys, have lifted me out of the darkness, out of the gutter, and it's clear-cut directions on how we recover. There's a solution. It said this book is, its main objective is to enable me to find a power greater than myself, which will solve my problems. What are my problems? It's the selfishness and fear. It's the things that they're built up inside me, that are blocking me from ever having that experience with a higher power. You know what I mean? So, but I'll let Tina introduce herself because I can, tend to go on, you know what I mean? But I love you guys, man. I'm passionate. It's lit in me when I start talking about this stuff, man. And that's how I know God's called me to do this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I can see it in your face and hear it in your voice.
Yeah,
it's like I'm looking at myself. So we got a homie in the comments. His name's Polly. He just heard you were he's from Philly too. He's in our crowd.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, man. I lived at all over. I lived at Frankfurt and Tioga. I lived at 13th and Broad. I lived everywhere all over the city. I grew up in Bucks County, lived in Philly for 15 years, and now I'm in Delaware. So, I made my rounds and yeah, go ahead, baby.
Sorry. I get sidetracked very easily sometimes. So my name's Christina McGavin. Joey and I got married in sobriety. So sobriety has brought us so many beautiful things that I never even thought that my life was capable of achieving. I started at an early age. I started drinking, and then I would smoke weed on the weekends with my friends, and I never saw anything wrong with that. And I started dabbling with the more harder stuff, I guess you can say, when I was around 19 years old. And my addiction really started picking up when I was in my early 20s, and I graduated to heroin, and I was a heroin addict for multiple years of my life, probably around 5, 6, 7 years of my life, and it got really, really bad. You know, I was a chronic relapser for those 7 years. You know, I just couldn't get it together because I didn't understand it. Like, I didn't understand what addiction necessarily was. I thought one day I was going to wake up and like my life was just magically going to get better and all of my problems were going to disappear, and I was going to be able to achieve things in my life. And, you know, when if you're an addict, you learn the hard way that that's not true. You know, and so finally I hit that rock bottom, and I finally had that understanding that like this is something that I have to face head on. Like I can't continue to run away from it anymore because it's not possible. You know, it keeps popping up, and you can't run away from yourself. And I've learned ultimately that like I was the problem, you know, like I was the issue. So I had to you know, I had to seek help for that, and I didn't get it the first time. You know, I was in multiple, like numerous rehabs and detoxes and just jumping around from place to place. And then I met Joey, you know, and he tried to save me in a sense. You know, he had 5 years clean and I was still using, and he moved me right into his apartment because he and I knew each other from a previous relationship that I was in. And I got a lot better, but I was still relapsing like every 3 to 4 months. You know, I'd get 5 months, I'd relapse, 4 months, I'd relapse. So it was like this constant thing. And finally, like I had said previously, like I finally hit that severe rock bottom, and that was a complete eye opener for me. And after that, I went to rehab, and when I got out, I just threw myself into this program. And what I've learned is it works if you actually apply it to your life, you know? So that was like a big thing for me. I was always around the program and around the fellowship, but I was never actually in it. And until I was in it, it never stuck with me. But you know, we're here today. He and I have almost 17 months. What's today's date?
Today
second, right?
is
So
the third.
Okay. So tomorrow I will have 17 months. Joey's sobriety date is on the 9th. So yeah, so you know, we've been doing this for a little bit now. We're just grateful that you guys have us on here with you, and we were definitely pumped. We were all lit up before we came on here. You know, we always get super fired up before we hop on a live. So thank you.
That's awesome.
Don't mind. I like to just do. I like starting mine out with a little prayer. You know, if you don't mind, if I say
Absolutely not, dude.
That's how we like to open ours. If you'll let us do that, that'd be great. If not, it's fine as well.
No, dude, let's pray for sure.
All right, right in. You know, guys, this isn't for everyone. You know, sometimes, you know, some people, but this is just our story. So we want to invite God into the picture here before we get started, you know. So dear Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for waking us up today. I want to thank you for all the blessings, Lord. I want to thank you for all these beautiful people on this video. I want to thank you for this beautiful couple that invited us on here, Lord. We're just so humbled and so grateful, and we just want to be servants and vessels, Lord. We want to be a beacon of light to other people, Lord. Please fill us with your Holy Spirit and let it shine through us. Let a light shine into that darkness, Lord. We were once down that valley, that tunnel, that dark path, and you have lifted us out through the 12 steps through this program, Lord. Let us be that light to other people, that they may see us shine and that they may, you know, come towards that, Lord. We just want to ask if anyone's struggling that you place your hands on them and give them healing, Lord, and just place your hands on them and let them reach out in the comments and make that choice while they have that moment of clarity, Lord, that they may go to rehab or detox or whatever they need. Just give them the grace and the mercy, Lord, that they deserve. And we thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen, amen, amen.
Amen.
Amen. That was awesome prayer, brother.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we got some clean dates popping in. I love it, man. We always get them clean dates going in, man. People, you know, it's beautiful.
Them hope shots.
But yeah. What did you guys? I don't know how your format is really. So I mean, we could just run with it or whatever you want us to do. You know, I don't know. You know,
I was thinking we could probably just run with it tonight. Usually, what I do is we go through books. We just finished a book called "Staying Sober" by Terrence Gorski, and now we're going through a book called "The 12 Steps We Took" by Joe McHugh. We're on chapter 3. I'm going to pick up, finish that tomorrow. But tonight, I thought we'd just go and get to know everything about you guys and just talk recovery.
Yeah, let's do it then, man. We're ready. We're ready to rock.
Yeah, let's just dive right into it.
Let's dive right. So, yeah, man. I mean, I can go right into it. I mean, you know, basically, you know, I don't like to bore people with, you know, a million stories and everything like that. You know, I like to talk more about the solution. You know, we've all been there, but just identifying, identify myself as one of you guys. You know what I mean? Like, when I pick it up, I have an allergic reaction. When I pick drugs or alcohol up, I have an allergic reaction. And something happens inside me that doesn't happen in a normal person, whatever a normal person is. But, when I pick it up, I cannot stop. A normal person can, pick it up and then put it down and go to work. Me, I continue to do it until I'm homeless and I lose everything. I lose my kids, my home, my job, my car, and that's what makes me. But just to clarify, you guys don't have to be homeless to be labeled an alcoholic or addict. Like you don't have to go to some of the bottoms that I went or she went or some of us may have went. Like losing a job may be something that's your bottom. Family kicking you out or taking your credit card or whatever the one guy said. But
detox.
Like so just to make that clear, like you don't have to go down in the gutter to be, one of us, I had a rough time, like when I was 17, I'll start when I was 17 years old. I was 17 years old. I wanted to be like my older brother, and he was into, he was already shooting heroin and smoking crack when I was 17, and I wanted to be just like him, so I started hanging out with him. I started doing that, and, I was doing burglaries and stuff to get money to do that. And, I ended up getting locked up for a year, my first time ever being in trouble with the law, and he sent me to this boot camp where I was like, there was like trained Marines and Navy SEALs and whatnot. And I thought I was a tough guy, and we roll up on this mountain. I'll never forget it. It was like in Shamokin, PA on a cold township on a mountain. And we pull up in the van and I'm looking out the window and there's about 40 of them. We got an eyeballer here. And I they run in, they jack me up, and it's just, it was insane. I never thought of something like that. Oh crap. Hold on. I got to unplug mine and plug yours in. But I never thought of something like that. So I thought I was tough until I met them guys, and then they broke me down a little bit. And then from there, I went to long-term treatment, 6.5 months in there. So I was locked up for a whole year my first time. And, that's where I was first introduced to any type of program, was when I was about 18 years old. I was in a rehab. They had people coming in, and they were giving us a little bit of hope. So when I got out, I went to a program. And I started working some steps, guys, and I had like 18 months clean. And, I decided to go to the gym and work out. And like, I didn't fully understand what it meant. People would pat me on my butt and tell me I was doing good because I was there. I was chairing meetings and I was, there's two different things, there's the fellowship and then there's the program, and I was involved in the fellowship. I wasn't involved in the program, the program of action. I was just thinking if I hung around these people and I pick a sponsor that has 30 years clean, that it's going to rub off on me, and all that's happening is I would occasionally go out to eat with them and they pay for my meal or whatever, and I wasn't doing no work and I was miserable. So I didn't understand that I couldn't touch anything. And I didn't understand first and foremost that drugs and alcohol were my solution. I thought they were the problem. I thought if I put them down, I was fine. That's my problem, drugs and alcohol. But when I put it down, I found out that I was just dying on the inside. I was so chained down with so many resentments. I was filled, my guts were filled with all this fear and these, character defects and these flaws and all this stuff just blocking me. My whole life, I lived off other people's experience of a higher power, whatever my parents believed or whatever the people around me believed, and it wasn't until someone was armed with the facts that sat down with me, and showed me that there's a way to empty this out so I can have that relationship, so I can be filled with that spirit, and man, there's some big bugs in this damn ground.
Oh my God, you see that monster?
Yeah, so, I was filled with, it filled me, and it was through the steps, that's the only way I was able to connect. And like they say, this book enables you to tap into a power to solve your problem, and I think that's so critical because not all of us don't know, or if you don't have that experience, I can't live off of your experience, until I experience it for myself. And I'll just, shoot a little faster. I'll cut a couple years out. My mom, passed away to a suicide. She ate a bottle of pills. When I found her dead and tried to wake her body up, and that put me on the ringer for like 5 years. I went off the rocker, in and out of jail, in and out of institution. And, I loved institutions. You know what I mean? I literally loved a detox and rehab. I could sit in there with no responsibilities. I could eat peanut butter and jellies all day. I could try to hook up with women, like it was just, there was nothing to it. No, but that was my point of view. Like at the time, my point of view was so darkened that I couldn't see there was something wrong with that. It was like, wow, this is great. And I'm getting older and older, and people that I grew up with are buying homes, and, credit scores are good, and they're, fixing their, they have families going, and I'm going down the line from younger sibling to younger sibling to younger sibling, and finally this last time around, I ended up on a 7-prison tour. This was back in 2009. I got locked up in Philly. I was in CF, then I went to Pick, then I went to Montgomery County, then I went to Bucks County Jail, then I went to Graterford, then I went to Camp Hill, then I went to SCI Green out in Waynesburg, PA. So I did a little 7-prison tour, and I thought to myself, like, this isn't normal. Normal people don't live like this. I got to make a change. So while I was in there this time, I used to be the tough guy and fight people and kick people off the block and, do grimy stuff in there. And this time I just wanted to, find out who God was. I was just led in there. Like something was laying on my heart to find out who God was. And so that's what I did in there. I took that time. I wrote Joyce Myers. I had her sending me books, The Battlefield of the Mind. I had her, I was doing readings. I was getting sent, studies. I was attending church. And when I got out, my first day out, I got sent to a recovery house in the middle of Kensington. That's where I started my journey, and anyone that's been there knows it's probably not the best place to start a journey to become sober, but I didn't have many options left. I burnt all my bridges, and, so that's where I landed. And, I landed in a methadone recovery house. I was the only guy in there not on methadone, and I turned out that was one of the happiest times of my life. I literally had nothing. I went to a meeting, raised my hand, and asked these people for help. I said, I don't know how to be a man. I don't know how to be a father. I don't know how to be a son. I don't know how to be anything. Please help me, and they did. And, that's exactly what happened, man. They sat down, they took me through the steps, through a little bit of time, and we started helping other people, and then we did it over, and we kind of did it weird, like they did it in the beginning. And we sat in a group, and it was just so beautiful, man. Like I learned more in that time than I did my whole life. And we were literally sitting with people like every night. And that went on for 3 years, and then I picked up for about 3 weeks, and then I just magically stopped somehow again, and then after that, I got 7 years clean, and that's when I met Tina. I had 7 years. I had about 4 years when I met her, and she can kind of explain her side of that. But, I'll just, to wrap it up real quick, I relapsed with 7 years clean, running around like a, fireman trying to help everybody. But yet, I got to the point where I felt like I was the higher power. Like, why did I need to call anybody to get help? I was the guy giving the answers. Like, what are you going to tell me? And that cockiness, that pedestal. I was up on a pedestal, and God just clotheslined me right off the top, and sunk me right back down to size. And with 7 years, I picked up, and then we both picked up together. And within 10 months, I've lost $300,000 a year jobs. I lost my home. Our kids got taken. And I found myself once again in a detox with a trash bag full of clothes. That's all I had, and I'm like, oh my God, how did this happen again? How did I let this happen again? The same old story over and over. Like, is there ever going to be an ending to this? And, it turned out like right now, like to be one of the best blessings of my life, because what happened after that, thank God I didn't die. I went on, right now I'm just stronger. You know what I mean? I came back harder. Like I didn't let it defeat me, man. I came back like a Mack truck and just zooming right into this thing. And in the book, it says next, at once, launched, rigorous. You know what I mean? Next, it says all these things. You're supposed to dive into this thing, and that's what I did. And I came to Delaware, and she had to live in a different state. And I'm trying to talk fast so I can get all this information out. You know what I mean?
It's all good, man.
I'm just so on fire for this. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I live for, what we're doing right here.
Yeah.
And, basically, we got everything back. You know, and within 90 days, I got a new job, a career job. I got my house back. That's because when I came here, I found a sponsor and started working a program immediately. You know, and God just started moving in my favor and got me a job and got me this house back, and our kids got back in our life. And that was 17 months ago. We never looked back, you know, and I'd say about a month clean or month and a half, 2 months clean is when we started to do these live videos, you know, and we were doing it in the car. And then, you know, it's just insane the way this works, man. Like, it'll blow your mind. But I'll let Tina go. I'll shut up for a little bit. But God, I love you guys, man. I love all you guys. I just want everyone to get this. Like, that's why I come on here. You know, we come on here because we love you. We want to see you get this. We want to see your parents have a child. We want to see your children have their parents. You know, we want to see your mothers and daughters and fathers and sons, all, you know what I mean? Like, that's what we do this for. Like, it works. I guarantee you. I was a junkie sleeping in an abandoned house, you know, and now I got a job making, you know, very nice money, and I'm allowed in people's homes. They trust me in people's houses. You know, they trust me with a company vehicle. They trust me with a company credit card. They trust me to do all these things. They trust me when a person hands me 15 grand cash to fix their sewer. You know, they trust me with that. And guess what? I can be trusted. You know, you are worth it. You are worthy today. Don't put yourself down, guys, and don't limit what God and this program can do. Like, we put them in a box, you know, but we all live in that 6-inch prison right in our mind, but we got to get out of that, you know, structure that mindset. And that's what this program does. And that's what these steps do. And bam,
dude, I feel like I'm talking to myself. I get all fired up just like you do. I tell people how important AA is. I'm like, look, we're not doctors. We're not in the ER. We ain't driving ambulances. But if you go to AA and you share your freaking story, you literally could save somebody's life. You can restore families back. You could give mothers back to fathers or mothers and kids back to each other, dude. I know exactly what you're talking about. Totally feel your passion.
That shift in action, man. Like, once you see that take place, there's no high like it to see somebody get their family and their life together. We took this guy where? We took some guy somewhere. I can't remember. Did somebody call us back or something? I can't remember.
Oh, God. I remember one time this is when, like, I was actually doing good before I relapsed my sobriety. And, like, Joey and I wanted to do something good. And we don't really talk about this story much because we don't like to put it out there, like, when we do something good. You know, I believe that, like, character is what you do behind the scenes without having to brag about it type thing. So, like, but anyway, this story is like, we made like 40 bags of food. You know, we went down to Kensington and Allegheny and we started handing out these little lunch bags of food in like the dead of winter. And you know, we were just walking down the Ave trying to, you know, do whatever we could for people. And Joey was like, something's telling me like we have to turn left right here. And I'm like, no, like, let's just stay on the main strip. Like, we only have a couple things left. Like, let's just stay on course. And he's like, and we were with our buddy, Adam at the time. He's also in the program. And he was like, no, like, I'm going left. And like, me and Adam kept walking. I look behind me, Joey's gone. I'm like, oh shit, like, we got to go back down and get him. So we made that left, and Joey's sitting there talking to this homeless man sitting on the, I think it was the train station for the L. And, you know, we ended up taking that guy to Friends Hospital, and he didn't get in, but he ended up going to his father's house and detoxing. We thought, yeah, we're probably never going to hear from this guy again. And about a month and a half later, he called Joey, and he was like, I just want you to know, like, what you guys did for me, like, I'll never forget that. And I'm clean, and I have a relationship with my father today. And he saw what I went through, and, you know, working on a relation. And it was just the most amazing, most beautiful thing to hear that, like, just by trying to help somebody, how their life got better, even if it was a little bit, you know, like he started to build a relationship with his father again. And better yet, he wasn't living on the streets anymore. You know, he had a roof over his head and he had clothes on his back. And it was just a beautiful experience to have that, you know, to be able to be of assistance to somebody else like that. There's like no high like that. You know what I mean? Like, you can't put a price on that. Like, that's what this program is all about, is just doing what you can for that person who's struggling. And that's why he and I have such like a burning passion for this, because like, we were those people, you know, like I could have so easily, I pretty much was homeless, you know, like when he and I had lost everything, I had nowhere to go. So when I got out of rehab, thankfully my parents let me stay in their house, you know, and, you know, we were just trying to get our life back. But,
That's in the ear as well, Pepe.
all right. God, I'll try to like be quick with my story because like he said, you know, we all know how to drink and we all know how to use on here, but I do want to be relatable with people, and I do want you guys to know a little back history of me that I guess qualifies me as an addict and alcoholic. Um, so I remember from the time like I was a little girl, I don't know, like 6, 7, 8 years old, like I just felt this emptiness inside of me, and I could never pinpoint like what that was. And I remember my mom would sit me down and she would talk to me, and she's like, "What's wrong with you? Like, why are you always so depressed? Like, you should be out playing with your friends and doing this and doing that, and you're always isolating." And I'm, you know, I didn't have an answer for her. Like, what 8-year-old does? I just knew that I felt completely different from anybody that I ever came in contact with. And obviously at the time I didn't understand that that was just like the isms to my alcoholism. You know, like I already had that addictive qualifications, I guess, just that emptiness on the inside and just feeling like I was the only person in the world and no one saw me. You know, like I literally felt like I slipped between the cracks and just no one cared. And I never felt love from anybody. And that was just my disease already working in my head at an early age. You know, so I was always seeking approval too. Like I always wanted other people's approval. And if I found out someone didn't like me, I was willing to pick my entire self apart for that one person. You know, like just, what is it? Like I would stay awake at night. If I found out someone didn't like me, like I would just sit there in my bed staring at the ceiling, like questioning and wondering why this person doesn't like me. And if I figured out why, I would change myself. Like, is it the way I talk? Is it how I dress? Is that how I interact with people? Because I'll change those things for you. Like, that's where my mind was at. And so, you know, I was in high school, and that's how I perceived things. You know, like I was such a follower. I was never a leader. I could never be that person, and I wanted to be, but I didn't know how to be. You gotta go in the house, baby. I'm sorry, guys. 1 second. My daughter woke up. Go figure.
I know how you're feeling when you talk about that. We call that over down here. I don't know what you guys call it. We call that the fear of man. We're so worried about what they're thinking that the fear of what they think about us is we dictate our life to that. You know what I mean? I had to overcome that too. And now I look back on it, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking?
Right? And it's like, it's so much easier to just accept yourself for who you are and like have to pick yourself apart just to accommodate someone else's needs for yourself. And the program taught me how to do that. You know, like today I could care less who likes me. Like if I find out someone doesn't like me, it's like, oh well, you know, like you don't like me. Well,
sorry guys, I'm on a walker too. I just got in a car accident. If anyone don't know, like I was in a really bad car accident. I got a broken femur bone right at the hip joint. I got screws and plates and ribs cracked, and you know my sciatic nerve was hit, and I got broken L3 in the back. But I'm just saying, you know, I'm grateful to be alive. Like I'm so grateful to be on earth right now and to be able to help God's children. Like what a beautiful thing, man. God, it's so beautiful. Sorry, babe.
I love it, dude. I love it.
You get so pissed at me. It just comes out. It's like it's like, oh, maybe someone needed to hear that at that minute. You know what I mean?
Catching resentment over here. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But I guess I felt completely, I don't know. I guess high school is when I started really identifying with myself. Like I was willing to like, I hopped around, you know, like I was a chameleon. I could blend in with anybody, but on the outwardly appearances, I made them look good. You know, I made it look like I was happy. And I didn't have a problem making friends, but I had a problem with just fitting in. I just felt like I didn't fit in. So I could hang out with anybody. I could hang out with the stoners. I could hang out with the athletic ones. I could hang out with the kids that you could consider popular. You know, like just every crowd, I was capable of fitting in there. But myself, like on the inside, yet again, I felt like I didn't fit in. So, you know, I was always seeking the approval of men as well. Like that was a big thing for me. Shut up, Joey. That started early on for me, like around 14 years old. I really started seeking approval of men. And I think a lot of it had to do with, like, I just didn't have a real good connection with my father. So I started seeking that early on, you know, at like around 14 years old.
Come here.
I got into a relationship and I gave this person my all, like at 14 years old. And so when we broke up, like a year later, I was absolutely destroyed.
Knock it off.
Devastated. Sorry, guys. She's
annoying.
And
we got 4 of our own, dude. I know exactly what you're talking about.
She does it every time we go live. She gets out of bed and she comes in the garage and she messes with us, and it's really annoying. But she's 4. I can't get mad at her. where was I? So yeah, when we broke up, like I was like completely devastated. It like completely turned my world upside down. Like I gave my all to someone at like 14, 15 years old. It wasn't normal. So it took me a while to like start rebuilding myself back up. And like when he rejected me, like I felt that, you know, I felt like he was abandoning me and I felt rejected all over again. So then I was really diving into partying and just giving myself to anybody that was willing to give me attention. And it made me feel a little bit better at that moment of time. And then I would go home at the end of the night and feel absolutely horrible about myself, you know? So I started drinking around 14, 15 years old. And I was the kind of person where like, I'd be up until like 3, 4 in the morning, just like chugging shit, you know, like I pick up beer cans. I didn't even know whose they were. And if they were half full, I'd sit there and I'd chug that. And, you know, but that was on the weekend. So I guess you could say I was functionable, you know. And then at 17, 18 years old, I went to this party one night and it was like a summer party. And so everybody pitched tents and we all slept in the tents. And I remember I must have blacked out, you know, like I must have just been drinking until I blacked myself out. So I passed out in this tent and it was really early in the morning, probably like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And I woke up and this guy was on top of me and I knew who he was. I had previously dated him for a little bit and it didn't work out. We were still somewhat friends, you know, we could be cordial, whatever. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to have sex with this guy, but I couldn't move and I couldn't vocalize the word no. And I don't know why. I don't know if it was just the blackout. I don't know. But I do remember that part and I knew what was going on in my head, but I couldn't say no. So it wasn't like, it wasn't violent, you know, it wasn't anything like that. So for a really long time, like I kind of, you know, I didn't consider it a sexual assault. I just thought to myself, you know, I put myself in that position, in that situation. So I got to eat it, you know, like it is what it is. So I kind of really wanted to numb myself. So I just repressed it really deep down. So I didn't have to feel that. And then shortly after that, I got into another relationship with someone. And when I started, you know, seeing him, I really started experimenting with Percocets and pills and stuff like that. And from there on, that's where heroin came involved in my life. You know, he and I were using heroin together, and that's when I went in my first rehab, and I got out and I used that day, you know, and it was just, it was a very chaotic relationship, very scandalous, you know, cheating. There's times where it got physical, but I couldn't leave, you know, and it was because I loved the guy, but I knew deep down it wasn't going to work, but I wanted to keep trying because I didn't want to be abandoned and I didn't want to be alone. So he and I were together for about 4 years of my life, you know, and I remember thinking to myself, like one day he and I are going to get it together and like, we're going to get this thing and we're going to succeed in life. You know, we're going to do it. Like, we're going to get the nice house and the nice cars and the white picket fence and the dog, and we're going to have kids and he's going to have the good job. And I'm going to go back to school. Like, I had this big mapped out, painted picture in my head, and it just never worked out that way. I ended up getting pregnant with him. And when I was 4.5 months pregnant, he had tragically passed away due to a big work accident. So like when that had happened, I just felt like my entire world just stopped right there, you know, and I didn't know what to do at that point. Like, I was pregnant with this baby that he and I planned on taking care of together. And just like that, he was gone, you know, and there was nothing I could do about it. It was like the most powerless feeling that I ever felt in my life. And that's really when my addiction progressed, like, severely. After I had the baby, I was going on benders where I would disappear for weeks on end. And as a mom, it really hurts me to have to admit that sometimes, you know, it still hurts, but I get open and honest because it's my story and hopefully it helps somebody, you know. So when she was a tiny little baby, I was just taken off and I was disappearing. There's times where I brought her with me. There was times where he had to track me down and pound on doors, and my best friend was going in crack houses and dragging me out of there. And it got really bad. And he thought that he could help me, you know, so he moved me in like shortly after all of this. And I did. I got better. You know, I definitely believe that Joey was like my saving grace right at that moment when I needed him. You know, he was always that person, like every tragic event that had ever happened in my life, he just so happened to be there for me. He would drop anything and everything just to be there with me. You know, there's times where my parents didn't know what to do with me, so they called him, and he and I weren't even like together. You know, he was just popping in, and they trusted Joey. You know, they trusted him with my life. So when they were sick of my shit, they would ship me over there, you know, and he would take me. And so finally, yeah, I moved in, and then he and I had our daughter, my second daughter, and life was good for a little bit, you know, but I could never get it together. Like I was saying earlier, like every couple of months I would relapse for a day, you know, and then he'd kick me out, and then he'd bring me back 3 days later, and then I would make all these false promises that I meant at the time, but they never came true. And, you know, it was just this vicious cycle. And I don't know, I was able to obtain probably like 7 months at this point. And then one night, you know, he and I were both off, and a Percocet sounded good, you know, and like that's when we ultimately like relapsed together. And that was the beginning of like this huge like destruction and fueled lifestyle. Like it was horrible. Like I wouldn't wish what we went through on my worst enemy. You know, it was just absolutely tragic. And it was to the point where like I contemplated suicide, and I attempted it, and I woke up from it. And we were losing everything. You know, I lost my scholarship to university. He crashed my car. It was totaled. I lost my children because of addiction. You know, by the grace of God, they're back in my life today. You know, and my eye-opening spiritual awakening, in a sense, I guess you could say, is like, you know, after I had attempted that suicide, like I wrote this in-depth suicide letter to my children, just letting them know like mommy loved you, and mommy tried to fight for you, and mommy just didn't have it in her. And it was like a 4-page letter, and I kind of wish I kept it, you know, just as like a reminder of that horrible time of my life to help me never go back to that. You know, and then I attempted an intentional overdose, and I woke up from that. And that's when like I'm like, oh my God, like I'm such a worthless piece of shit that I can't even take my life properly. Like I can't even do that right. And so that was like the moment where God just stepped right in for me. Like I got on my knees, and I was hysterically crying, and I accepted the fact that I was an addict, and I just didn't know what to do about it. And I said this prayer, and for the first time in my life, it was like a genuine prayer, like coming from my heart. And I was begging God for the first time in my life for sobriety. Like, God, I just want to be sober. God, I just want sobriety. Like, I just want to be a mom for my children. I just want a house to raise my children in properly, you know, all these things. And 3 days later, I was in rehab, you know, and that was like the defining moment of my life where I realized I have to do something about this. Like, this is not going to go away on its own. This is a huge, it's just, I got to dive in, you know. And I remember the speaker came in, and I probably heard this a million times before because I was in and out of the program for years before this. And all this man said was, are you willing to do what it takes to be free? He didn't say sober. He didn't say clean. He said free. And that was like a light bulb moment going off in my head. You know, I'm like, oh my God, like all I have to do in order to obtain freedom from my own self is to do those 12 steps that are hanging on that banner behind him. And that's exactly what I did. So the first day after rehab, or the day I got out of rehab, I went to a meeting. You know, I called my old sponsor, and we just dove into step work. And, you know, yeah, like we lost a lot in active addiction, but we gained so much more in sobriety. We lost that tiny little apartment, and we got a 3-bedroom house. And I may have lost my children for a couple of months, but I used that time wisely, and God gave me that time to start constructing myself and start building myself up so I could be a mom, you know. And yeah, I lost Joey for a little bit. We had to live in different states at one point when we were getting ourselves together, but when God saw fit for us, he aligned us to come right back together at a good time for us both. And you know, we got this house and our children back, and sobriety has just given us so many things. We got married in sobriety. You know, it was just a beautiful process. Sobriety is the best thing that has ever happened to me. Being an addict is the best thing that's ever happened to me because it gave me a beautiful life, you know, and we have the ability to touch people that not many other people can do. All of us on here watching, you know, we have that gift to help that person that's down in the trenches, because we were there. You know, we hold the key to someone else's freedom, so we're gonna give it out. But yeah, that was just pretty much a quick version
Yeah, guys,
with my
beautiful.
experience.
And someone was asking about if we had a YouTube. We just have the 2 pages. I put the links in. One's Meet the Gavin's Recovery Talk. We do our live videos from there, and the other one's Spiritual Animals of Recovery.
No.
That's where we do like a lot of our Zoom meetings, and we've had that page. That was our little pride and joy. We got into this because I was in a bigger group before, and we kind of, when we first started, we were in this certain group. I won't name it, but it was pretty big, and we were trying to get people help and just get them in detox and rehab and whatnot. But we're not affiliated with anybody. We were just trying to help people out. I guess this page was linked up to some kind of thing, and they thought we were like poaching people, and they kicked us off after we put in about, I'd say a good 4, 5, 6 months of work, building up this, people that, look forward to us coming on and hours of videos, and they just kicked us off. And I was like, you know what, I'll make my own, out of spite. Within an hour I had a new page, and I'm like, let's, but anyway, I think you have someone that's popping up at
8:40. Yeah, let's check them out. This is Cassie. She's gives us our motivational quote. Before we get there real quick, that's why I started my Facebook group, because I just was YouTube and I was on a couple Facebook groups trying to help, got booted off, and then I noticed a bunch of trolls, and I was like, nah, screw this. We want to recover for reals. So we made our group.
You'll have to let us know how to do that, man, because we were thinking about that. So I'll talk to you, but
yeah, let's stay connected, brother.
Feel free to share your links like on my page. I encourage that. Like if you want to come on over to our pages, we got 2 of them. Feel free to put yours in there. I like helping other people grow. I'm never one that smushes anyone down. Like
me too.
We have where we're at somehow. You know what I mean? And it's beautiful, guys. We're here to help each other, not to compete. You know what I mean?
Dude, we're on the exact same page.
I got viewers, and I got to do this and that. No, I just want to help a person. That's why I'm waiting. I could be in there watching a movie right now or something. But
yeah, us too.
I'd rather do that.
I say the same thing. I'm like, man, there's 6 billion people in the world. Half of them are drug addicts and alcoholics. There's enough to go around. Let's help them all. But this is Cassie and her motivational quote for the evening.
Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm super happy to be here, but even more excited that you guys tune in and join us every single night. Thank you. We appreciate you. So before I begin with my motivational quote, today's quote was inspired by my mama. So I printed a picture just so you guys could get the full picture. See it? You can lead a human to knowledge, but you can't make them think. Thanks, Mama. Love you, all in the world. All right, you guys know what to do. Bring it together. Let's continue to spread that love.
Spread
Thanks,
that
Cassie.
love.
Love you.
Hey, that's beautiful.
Thanks, Cassie's mama.
You hit the jaw on it too.
Some hearts.
And I love it. So just to know a little bit about you guys, because before you reached out, I didn't really, I didn't stumble across you guys, but I did check a few things out. I didn't have much time, but I noticed you guys do a lot of book work and a lot of, readings and stuff like that. And, I think it's phenomenal. And just for anyone that's, coming on here, that's, part of our groups, can you break down a little bit of what you do? That way we can all, get linked up with your thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And anybody that's on our side that hasn't met the Mudgavins, you have now. So make sure you jump on their Facebook and check them out. But what we do is I came out of recovery, came out of my IOP exactly like you, just like a rocket. Freaking let's go save the world. And so I started making YouTube videos because, cameras and stuff like that were all just a hobby of mine. And I've been taking pictures of photography and stuff. And then COVID kicked off, and I'm friends with another guy. His name's Sober James. He's a YouTuber. And me and him decided 49 days, because this is my 49th live stream in a row every night. We decided, okay, COVID-19, AA shut down, NA shut down. I know people are suffering, relapse is going through the roof. So every night at 8:00, Felice and I have dedicated for the next year to do this every single night. Our premise is relapse prevention. I tell people, oh, that's awesome. You went to an IOP. You did your in-house treatment. You did the 12 steps. Now what? You're going to continue to further this education and recovery. If not, you're bound to relapse because you're not going to remember all those tools you were taught unless you practice and practice and practice and keep getting reminded. Or if you don't continue to learn, and I like that, we just learned from the book that recovery is like walking up a down escalator. And as soon as you stop moving up in recovery, bam, you're on your way down. And that's where relapse happens. We want to key in on when relapse actually happens, because it's not when you're using and drinking. Relapse happened weeks before you got to the point of using and drinking. And so we want to teach the tools. I want to stay familiar and learn together as the tools of how to hit and stop the process before we even stop drinking and using. And then there's the other side of that. There's somebody who's been affected by an alcoholic or an addict like my wife.
Yeah,
so,
you got the secret weapon.
Yep. And so we take it to that. What's that?
Yeah, secret weapon right there. Like, she can give the perspective of the other side, you know what I mean? And that's like the yin and the yang. You can actually, help people that don't know how to deal with a loved one or a person that's in addiction. You can kind of give them some pointers and show them how you're not going to enable somebody, and
Yeah, she's definitely the Al-Anon side, and I'll let her give her little side of it, what she had to deal with me, and what actually, how it affected her and what she had to do to come out of it.
Yeah. So where do I start? I guess we'll go just back 3 years is when he really started heavily drinking. And it was right after our son had his accident. So I was dealing with that plus his addiction at the same time. And it took a lot of learning and counseling for me to be able to handle his addiction correctly, because at first I'd get really angry and try to want to control it. And it was sucking me. I was getting sucked into his addiction. And so I had to pull myself away from him and kind of almost separate us so that I could work on me and my reactions and what to do in order to help him do what he needed to do to get help. So it took counseling on both our parts, just me a little sooner. But eventually it worked, setting the right boundaries and making sure my family was safe and all the things that you have to do when you live with an addict.
We've had people reach out to us and they dealt with what she's had to deal with. And she gives them the advice of learn how to set boundaries and to see and separate the addict from the human that we are now. You know what I mean? Because once, like Jacqueline Hyde, we are completely different people when we're using it compared to the awesome, amazing people we become when we're clean and in recovery. So she's really pointed out to people, look through the addict. Don't take the addict seriously and personal. You know what I mean? So, and it helps us and helps people recover on both sides, because when a family is affected by addiction, I'm not the only one that needs to.
Oh man, like what other, like she's literally the secret weapon, I know for me, like, what's insane about it is I look at my stepmom. I got a stepbrother that's stuck out in the streets right now, and I watch what she goes through, so it's given me the perspective of looking at the other side of it, the effect that we do to our parents, to our loved ones. Like, we don't even take into account the hours of sleep they lost, the things that we put them through. So when we put the drugs and alcohol down, we're like, oh God, like, why are you being so mean? Why do people hate me? Why don't they forgive me? And it's because we were like a tornado ripping through people's lives. We're like an active tornado just tearing up the land, and then we stop and we're like, oh, I'm sober. Well, the thing is, it's not about being sober. Like, I'm looking for freedom from the bondage of the 6-inch prison I've been living in. That freedom from the bondage of self, the freedom from that little voice that's always talking in my head, telling me that I'm not good enough, that I'm a pile of crap, that I should just go back out there and grab one more. And, I made it this far, I could probably use just one more. It's just a constant voice. And when you start to go through these steps and you get it broken down properly, like, that voice just stops, it just automatically happens. And, guys, I appreciate having us on here, man. I really do. And I know Tina does as well, man. Like, this, we're always honored anywhere when anyone asks us to come on. It's just, it's beautiful.
We love having you here. Let me pull you backstage for a second and then try to throw you back in there and see if oh, there you go. There they are. Never mind. Did
Maybe
they freeze again? I'm going to pull them backstage just for a sec and see if their video clears up and then bring them back. Bam, and nothing. But we can still hear you. It's weird.
You can hear us. Yeah, our video's
Yeah.
messed up, but guys, that's the devil working right there. I'm telling you.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
Satan. Audio is still good because this is all podcast. Put your phone down and just listen.
That's what we always say when you're talking. You're like, that's the liar. He's trying to steal the message. I know it. Oh man.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, we have no video at all there, but guys, we love you. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe we'll just hop off since the video's like coming in and out and whatnot. But you know, we're so grateful to be on here with you guys, man. I don't know. You know, if you want us to continue, we will. But I don't know.
It's up to you. I can hear you good. If you guys got more to share, keep sharing. Your words are amazing to me. And if the video clears up, it doesn't matter. Your words are the most important part.
Our video goes out. You guys can still hear us though.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just stay on with you guys for a little bit then. That's no problem.
Yeah,
I'm just
we
gonna
love
make sure
this.
you guys can hear us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like some people have their own routine, you know, like, so what we do is when we start off, we ask everybody, what's your clean date, you know, where you're from. And that way I've seen a lot of people interact with each other that way, you know, because, you know, they may see someone that's from their area, may be able to link up.
Yeah.
And then another tool is when people do share it out on their pages or whatever, like, that's why I constantly ask people to share it, because I've literally seen people come on our video and say, oh my God, I just stumbled across this, and this is exactly what I needed to hear. And we're still friends with some of these people, and they just stumbled across, some random person shared it, and they happened to come across it, and they're like, oh my God, and they're still clean to this day. So it's like, that's why we push that. You know, I don't push it to see if I can get 10,000 views. You know, I push it so it reaches someone else that may need to hear it. You know what I mean? And like, that's literally all we do that for.
Yeah.
And, you know, yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, you know, Joey and I made a vow. Like, it was so weird.
I got to
like,
stand up and stretch.
I remember, like, when we first started doing this, like, something was laid on my heart, like, you know, like, to do these videos. And I was only, like, a month and a half sober at the time. And I remember telling him, like, we need to do videos, like, on social media about like, our experience and our journey in recovery and sobriety. You know, and he's like, he didn't feel it at that time. You know, he's like, I don't know, like, I'll do it with you, but we'll see where it goes. And, you know, it's like God he put it on my heart, you know. And when we first started doing this, we made a vow to, like, not just ourselves, but, like, to God, that it doesn't matter how many people are watching or who's watching, as long as there's one person that we can talk to about this. And if we reach one, like, if there's one viewer, we're staying on, you know. And just over time, it just started building. And so it's miraculous, you know, how God works in people's lives, and, like, just how he put it on my heart. And, you know, I was always that person that felt like I didn't have a voice, you know, like I was deathly afraid of public speaking. I remember I failed, like, every public speaking class I've ever been in. And you know, and, like, he and I are doing this almost every night. So it's just crazy how it works, you know. Like, I never in a million years thought that I'd be doing this kind of stuff. I used to be like really embarrassed to say, like, I'm an addict, like, years ago, you know, like, I was ashamed of it. And today, like, I take it as, like, I say with pride, you know, you got to stand for what you believe in, anybody, because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And that's, like, a motto we live by, you know. So, like, I'm not afraid to stay, like, yeah, I'm Christina and I'm an addict in recovery. Like, it is what it is. This just so happened to be my problem that I had to tackle, you know. And everybody in life has their own problems. This just so happened to be ours, you know. And I don't know, man, like, it's just been a crazy experience and a crazy journey. Patricia, we love you. She's one of them. You know, we met her through the lives, you know, like, she saw us in the beginning when we were doing it out of our car before we were living together yet. And she's, like, one of our best friends today. So, like, it's just crazy where this took us. Like, we have amazing relationships in our life today. We have connections all across the world, all in the United States. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You know, I can call someone from Carolina if I'm struggling, you know, like, it's beautiful. It really
I agree.
is.
We've been doing this, so we're about 3 months into it, and every night for the last 2.5 months or a month and a half and the same thing. I can pick up the phone and call Polly in New Jersey. I got people out in New York. I got people out in California, over in Ireland. You got people, you know, it's just amazing. And I
Where
forgot
are
what
you guys?
we're in Utah.
Oh, Utah. Okay.
Where are you guys at?
Utah. What's that?
Where are you guys at?
We're in Delaware.
We're in Wilmington, Delaware.
Oh, okay, cool.
Delaware.
Yeah. So we like it. What are you doing, babe?
I'm stretching my leg.
He's stretching his leg. Yeah, he can't sit for long periods of time. Yeah, guys, that's another thing. If we're like hopping around, it's either because I'm running inside because my daughter's awake, and then his hip stiffens up, so he's gotta, move around for a little bit. So
You're frozen on the screen.
Am I?
Yeah.
I
Funny.
Looks like you backhand him off
we're
his chair.
twins.
Yeah, she looks like she's like backhanding me or like something.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel the same way you guys do about like the stigma of anonymous. I think it's a time for a new traditions. I totally value the AA and NA traditions and all that kind of stuff, but the anonymity I think is about to go out the door. There's still that stigma there, and I think people like you and I, we're totally breaking through that stigma because there are so many people that are addicted addicts just themselves, plus the families they hurt. There, that's way more than half of the whole nation. I guarantee it. And so to break that stigma, to show people we're humans and that our problem can happen to anybody, and you should know about it.
Yeah, and you guys have a great thing going too with an addict and addicts living together and recovering together, because there's a lot of recovering addicts that are spouses, and then the one is sober now and the other one's living with an addict still trying to recover. So it's great that you guys have that perspective also.
Right.
But yeah, guys, it's amazing, man. Like your life can be changed if you're on here, guys, and you're struggling. If you're on here and you're feeling like there's no hope, if you put the drugs and alcohol down, right, and you feel like you're worthless, you feel like depressed and sad and like nothing's working out, it's because drugs and alcohol wasn't the problem. Drugs and alcohol was the solution. So now I put the drugs and alcohol down. Now my problem turns into other things. It turns into workaholic. I turn into a gamblingaholic, a sexaholic, a thisaholic, the gym. I try to fill it with everything I can except God. And this isn't a religious program. But its main goal is to enable us to find a power greater than ourselves. That's what we're looking for. Whether you choose call that God or Jesus or Allah or whatever you call it. Like, we're not here to judge you or take your inventory on what you call your higher power. This goal is to tap you into some form of greater power, whether it be the room, a room full, whatever you use at first, because guess what? Your whole experience, once you have that vital spiritual experience, once you have that, the spiritual awakening that they talk about in the book, it's only through going through the steps that you're going to have that, whether it's CR, AA, NA, whether it's church, whatever it is you do, you got to dive into action. I tell people all the time, like, if you're going to church, go more, stay after, volunteer, get involved if that's your only source of, recovery, whether it's NA, CA, be a door greeter. My sponsor told me, when I first moved here, I didn't know anyone in Delaware. I didn't want to live in Delaware. And I got here and I went to a meeting, and what he told me was, raise my hand and tell people I'm new, and then get a number from one person and call them the next day and ask them, what are 5 things you did to stay sober? And I actually followed directions. And next time I went to the meeting, 5 guys knew me, they came up and said, oh, hey, Joe, how are you? And little door greeter positions, or even on these videos, just commenting. Them comments are so important. Getting yourself out there, like, expose that darkness to light. If you have some type of thought in your head right now and picking up, expose it to light. Get them things out in the open, because guys, this thing is not playing around. It's taking lives. The dope's taking lives. There's fentanyl in everything. There's fentanyl in Percocet, Xanax. It's in weed. P2s, and it's an absolute killer.
What happened to you?
It happened to me, guys. I'll share this real quick. We picked up my brother. Okay, and this is another thing that drives me right now. Is my brother was a dope fiend his whole life. I was talking about him earlier in my story. And my brother was in jail, and I went up there and seen him, and I told him, yo, I'll pick you up. I'll pick you up. I'll set you up. I was all involved. And, you know, I went to visit him and he was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Well, anyway, I had some lady pick him up from jail and she drove him. I guess he conned her into stopping somewhere where she thought he was getting something else, but he was really getting dope. You know, he went to the recovery house and all the guys were going to a meeting and they said, do you want to come? And he said, no, I'm going to stay here and unpack my clothes. You know, they all went to the meeting. They came back and he was dead. You know, so he was out of jail for like 6 to 8 hours and he was gone, you know, and, you know, that's right after that point is where we kind of picked up and I started getting high over, you know, and I really went hard. You know, I showed up to my brother's funeral wearing an Eagles jersey, mangled, and everyone thought I had 7 years clean, and yet they didn't know I relapsed. And I show up in an Eagles jersey and I'm mangled, my lips are turning purple, and it was from Percocets. Someone told me Percocets that were fake and had fentanyl in them. I had to get rushed to the hospital right at my brother's damn viewing, you know, and that was my coming out party where everyone found that I messed up. You know, I almost died at my brother's viewing, and they take me to the hospital, pump me with Narcan over and over and over and over.
Like it. He's insane. He'd come out of it for like a second and they'd be like, Joseph, what's today's date? And he was like, it's December 15th or 25th.
Yeah,
and
December
like Christmas.
25th.
And they were like, no, Joe. And then he'd dip back out again, you know, and then they pump with more. I never seen anything like it. They must have pumped his body with Narcan like 15 times.
And then after that, I continue to embarrass myself and I go, you know, I leave that hospital. I think I'm good. I think we went and got more real perks. And then I ended up overdosing at her parents' house, right in their front lawn. They had to call an ambulance like hours later, so twice. And I wake up and I don't even remember leaving the hospital. When I wake up, I'm in another hospital getting pumped again. I'm like, what is going on here? Hold on a second. Like, what is taking place? It felt like I was in the same hospital, you know, but like, guys, this thing, I'm sick of seeing rest in pieces. I'm sick of seeing people dying. Like, there is an answer. There is a solution. You know, there is a solution. I'm telling you, if it can work for us, I mean,
it can work for anybody. You just have to apply it to your life. That's all you got to do.
I agree. I'm glad you talked about that fentanyl because I was reading some articles and we talked about this on my show a while back, but people are starting to hoard drugs. They're not coming over the border like they were. You don't know what you're getting. So right now, if you're thinking about getting pills, if you're thinking about getting anything off the streets, reach out and talk to somebody because you don't know what you're getting. And you could end up like Joe getting shot with 200 shots of, you know, Narcan.
Yeah, it was insane. You know, just another, it's so like he and I should not be here. You know, there's so many times where he had to carry me out of the bathroom, give me chest compressions, and, you know, give me CPR and just things like that, like countless times in that apartment that we were living in. And this one time he came home with stuff and he warned me. He's like, I went out on this. Like, I can't let you have this. And I'm sick. You know, I'm like, give me it. Like, you know, I'm like, I'll just do a little bit. And so I did. And I did the tiniest amount just to feel well, you know, and it just kept coming and coming. And I couldn't handle it anymore. And I've overdosed in my life a couple times, you know, where I just blacked out and I'd wake up and people would be, you overdosed. But this time it was different. Like, I was experiencing an overdose awake, and it was the scariest, most powerless feeling, like knowing your body is shutting down and there's really nothing you can do about it. And Joey was trying to, you know, he's like, stay with me. Like, I literally felt like my life was being sucked out of my body and I didn't know what to do. I'm like, if we call 911, I'll probably be dead by the time they get here. And I looked at Joey and I was like, can you just pray with me? And we did. And by the grace of God, you know, I somehow walked off an overdose. It was the crazy, and it wasn't enough for me to stop though. You know, that's another thing. It's like these horrible, tragic events take place in our lives. And sometimes for people like me, like the real deal, like it's not enough. Like that wasn't enough pain for me. I had to go and I had to do more research on it, if you will. And I needed to hit my ultimate low. It's just like the fentanyl, it's just no joke. Now there's carbon fentanyl going around. That's like elephant tranquilizer. You know, like we can't handle that. We as human beings cannot handle that. And that's some of the stuff that people are going for, because that's what their bodies is literally starting to get adjusted to. And you don't know when that last one is literally going to be your last one. And it's scary. And so many people dying from it. And like back what you were saying earlier, like the whole anonymity piece to it. Like I respect the traditions, but I do believe that we're living in a time of age where we need more people to be upfront and honest and open about their experiences, because it'll save lives, you know? And that's why, like, I'm not.
It we working out. I switched our Wi-Fi on. It was off the whole time.
Yeah, you're back. You're good. You're looking good now. Mouth is moving. You're not just frozen.
In a weird spot. I'm gonna go like this. The next time I freeze all these.
That's probably the 5th time.
That'd be a good frozen picture. That's what's kind of cool about this stuff, though, because if the video freezes, the audio keeps working, because the audio streams on a much lower width.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, we have fun, man. Like we don't, you know, at the end of the day, we all just want to help people. And guys, we like to have fun on our videos. You know, we joke around and laugh, and you know, but the seriousness is, if anyone's struggling, feel free to message us, inbox us. You know, we'll do whatever we can. We have a 24-hour chat on our page. You know, where if you're struggling at any time, you know, someone will reach out to you. You know, we have meetings, you know, it's like 3 times a week in our group, and another group that we work with. They have meetings every day. So guys, you can come to the Zoom meetings. It's just like you know, it's just something to keep you plugged in. You know, times are tough. You're being trapped in the house, you know, pretty much. And like, you got to keep connected somehow, whether it's, you know, reading spiritual, or like you guys do, reading good literature, you know, like
awesome
that is, you know, she used to do the Joyce Meyer's Battlefield of the Mind. You have Love Without Conditions. You have, you know, the 5 love languages. You have, you know, there's just so many good books that you can, oh, look at that right there. Oh, shit.
Hey, there you go.
Yep. So we're hip to it, you know. These books will help. It says, failure to enlarge my spiritual life, I'm sure to drink or drug. You know what I mean? And like, that's so true, guys. Once you finish, there isn't a finished. Sorry. There's no finish. You got to continue to maintain, you know, that spiritual, you know, push-ups or the spiritual workout, you know, and it's spiritual fitness. That was like,
yeah, you got to work out.
I can't sit in this chair. This chair is just killing me, my leg and everything. So
you're right, dude. It's a workout. It's spiritual fitness.
Yeah,
and
it's in pain. My leg just starts acting up, you know, and I have to get up and stretch it and shake it. My foot starts going numb. You know, I have a doctor's appointment in the morning, but you know, it's something I got to deal with, man. I hit a pole, you know, down the street from my house. Oh,
dang.
I think they got broke up for a second, or
Are we here?
something's going on.
Oh, we're here. We can hear you. I was just gonna I'm throwing another one of your. I'm putting a post in the link or a link in the post right now. This is their Facebook group, so you guys go over and join that. You'll notice that the picture says I am a part of SWAT, Spiritual Warfare Attack Team. So anybody on YouTube that's not a part of their Facebook, just click that link, join their group. And when do you guys Zoom? What day do you guys Zoom?
What's that?
When do we do the Zoom?
Yeah.
We do. Sorry, guys. I know it's raining here, so I think that's why my connection is off. But we do our Zooms on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So there's another group that we work those meetings, you know, 12 o'clock and 8 o'clock Eastern time every day of the week. So, you know, if you guys need help, you know, just reach out. We'll accommodate you. We will help you, and we love you.
Yeah, we also do a Zoom on Saturday at 3. I work during the week, and then I do this at night. So then I chose Saturday at 3 because I had some friends who were still in an IOP during the week. And so I try to catch them at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. I'm thinking about changing the time just because it's summertime. We might go earlier morning or later evening. I haven't decided yet, but Saturday at 3 for us, we're Zooming.
Right. What?
Our service sucks here, man.
Well, that's cricket for you.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Right, you wanna?
Yeah, I think we're gonna hop off though.
Okay.
We appreciate you guys having us on, man. And like I said, man, anyone that's struggling, please feel free to reach out. You know, and like I said, brother, feel free to share your links on my pages and
likewise.
You know, we're all happy here. You know, like we all want to grow together, man. And I definitely have a couple questions for you, you know, behind the scenes about, you know, how your YouTube thing and all that. I definitely like to check it out on the YouTube. I didn't know you were on there. So
Yeah,
definitely check that out. And see
I got your messages pulled up right here. I'll shoot you my cell phone, dude, and let's hook up for sure.
Yeah, well, that sounds good. Yeah. Yeah, guys, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
It's always an honor and a privilege, to speak anywhere, and really enjoy it. We enjoy being on here with you guys. Yeah, his hip is bad right now, so we're probably going to have to hop off. Plus, we got to get up early for his doctor's appointment. But yeah, we really had a great time with you guys tonight. We're definitely going to have to do this again sometime.
Awesome. For sure. Yeah, let's do it again. Thank you guys so much for being on, and I'll pull you off right now. And then I just sent you my cell phone, so check those messages. Thank you.
All right,
Sounds
guys.
good, man.
Sounds awesome. You guys have a great night, and we'll talk soon.
Good night.
Good night. Wow, that was a special treat. I was watching some of their videos, and man, they're that passionate all the time about every video they upload. They want to continue and help and help and help and help, man. What great people. So glad. See, and that's the cool thing about technology these days and the times we're in. If you can't get a hold of anybody locally, you can always reach out. And the further you get deeper into these groups, you find super sincere, caring people that are really there for you. And and you can find that group and reach out. There's no excuses anymore. If you're going to use and you need to call somebody and your excuse may have been, I couldn't get a hold of, there's no excuse. Besides all the phone numbers they give you at AA and NA when you show up, the internet has made it literally possible to connect with hundreds of people all over the world in an instant. Even if it's your first time reaching out to anybody on the internet. I know that when I was going through, just coming off of alcohol, I started going through Facebook, and I joined a couple of the groups. And one night the house was empty and I was by myself, and I was like, man, I am struggling tonight. So I reached out to the Facebook group and I'm like, I need to drink. And somebody put in there, go get a milkshake. And so that's what I did. I went and got a chocolate milkshake, and wow, it completely cured that craving. But so let's read our NA just for today, or daily reflection. We'll say our prayer and then we will jump up on out of here. Let me open it up real quick. I can probably take these off now. Yeah, Joseph, that was really, really awesome, man. I'm sure glad we got to meet you. You guys seem awesome. And if we lived closer together, we'd be inviting you over for a barbecue. I'm not going to lie. So sharing our gratitude. What a perfect note here. My gratitude speaks when I care and when I share with others the NA way. So here's the gratitude prayer. The longer we stay clean, the more we experience feelings of gratitude for our recovery. These feelings of gratitude aren't limited to particular gifts like new friends, the ability to be employed, or the ability to be employed. More frequently, they arise from the overall sense of joy we feel in our new lives. These feelings are enhanced by our certainty of the course our lives would have taken if it weren't for the miracle we experienced in NA. These feelings are so all-encompassing, so wondrous, and sometimes so overwhelming that we often can't find words for them. We sometimes openly weep with happiness while sharing in a meeting, yet we grope for words to express what we are feeling. We want it so badly to convey to newcomers the gratitude we feel, but it seems that our language lacks the superlatives to describe it. Man, that is so true. When we share with tears in our eyes, when we choke up and can't talk at all, these are the times when our gratitude speaks most clearly. We share our gratitude directly from our hearts with their hearts. Others hear and understand. Our gratitude speaks eloquently, though our words may not. So just for today, my gratitude has a voice of its own. When it speaks, the heart understands. Today, I will share my gratitude with others, whether I can find the words or not. Amen. That is a good one. That was a blessing to have them on there tonight. Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah. Aubrey.
Freaking Aubrey. We should make him a moderator on the YouTube
He
side.
said give him 90-day trial.
90-day trial. Huh? Send me your application,
no
your credit score, and
Social Security number.
Yeah, that was awesome. I'll explain what blah, blah, blah means. Okay, good. I think we touched on it once. But,
Blah, blah,
I laugh every time you
blah,
post
blah.
it. But yeah, Aubrey, you're in the, yeah, you are. Dumb question. But I'll message you on Facebook for sure. What Veronica say? That's so funny. My friend brought me milkshakes tonight when I wanted a drink. That's so awesome. See, it's our sugar cravings, and they just helps. It just eases the pain just a little bit.
And they're delicious. I recommend Arby's.
So Aubrey, we'll connect and I'll explain it to you. Good night, Catherine.
Obs. I like to call him Obro.
Obs. Ooh, I like that. What's up, Obs? Yeah, he's so forceful. Good night. Well, did you guys like that one tonight? So tomorrow we're going to pick back up in our book. We're going to finish chapter 3, the steps we took. And tomorrow, if I didn't have to work, I would do something really cool and special for our 50th live stream in a row. That's pretty awesome to me. And we got, 300? Oh, so that means we only have like 285 left. 285 left or something around there, whatever the math is.
I feel like it's more like 315.
365. Oh, dang. Okay, so we're still at 315. I was thinking 330 for some reason.
I was like, that's not adding up in my brain.
But we're committed to this for 1 year. No joke. We're here every night at 8 o'clock. We have a private Facebook group. Please go join that for some amazing, strong recovery. And well, on that note,
You're no pain in the butt, Aubrey. I don't think that's what he meant by forceful.
oh, no, not at all. I think he gets what I'm saying.
Oh, he seems a little butthurt.
Is he butthurt? Aubrey. Aubrey. I doubt it.
It was you that took bites of the cheesecake.
What?
We're like,
We
that's
noticed.
weird.
Or they noticed, I should say.
I was like, oh, well.
All right, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
I'm murderalized it.
That's all good. We'll read a couple more comments and
Oh,
yep.
this thing's hurt my head.
My husband.
I will call you
John.
Rena.
Awesome. What'd she say? Good night, everyone, and good night, my husband John. Awesome. That's cute. That is
Oh,
really cute.
John and Tracy sitting in a tree.
They're husband and wife.
Oh,
Get over it.
I love
Cool.
it.
All right. Well, so tomorrow we'll be back at 8 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the Mungavins. If you haven't gotten to their Facebook, just search Meet the Mungavins and it pops right up. Right there it is. Pretty easy to find. But until tomorrow, stay strong, work your program, and remember that we recover better together.